Hello and welcome. My name is Nicholas and this is Literally Graphic. And today we're talking about my initial thoughts about a manga series that really took me by surprise, namely Kiss Him, Not Me by Junko. While I've fallen way off the bandwagon for Manga Order's 2019 reading challenge and I'm even 11 books behind on my Goodreads challenge, that is usually quite easy, this book does seem, to my mind, to count for challenge number 17, manga featuring manga or other otaku culture. Originally published in Japan by Kodansha Comics from 2013 to 2018, it appears that Kiss Him, Not Me was published online in English by Crunchyroll simultaneously. As usual, however, I'm reading the physical copies of the books, which have been published once again by Kodansha from 2015 through to 2018. Without much easily accessible English language information, the following is what I was able to dig up on the author-artist Junko, aka Clip Clop. They seem to identify as a female, live in Tokyo, and are a Sagittarius blood type A. Besides Kiss Him, Not Me, she has also been the author-artist on Rough Boyfriend / Rowdy Boyfriend, Under the Umbrella with You, Your Note / Your Scent, Mr. Minimart, Manga Sake, My Bodyguard / I Shall Protect You No Matter Where, Oji no Kikan, Prince of Recipe, Star-Like Words, Walking with You, Youthful Love, and a lot of yaoi doujinshi, based off of sports manga, like Prince of Tennis. Needless to say, as we dive into the synopsis of the series itself, Junko seems to have a lot in common with the main character of Kiss Him, Not Me. Flipping to the back of the book, the description from the publisher is as follows. Hi there, my name is Serinuma Kae. I'm the kind of girl who loves checking out boys and fantasizing about them getting friendly and more with each other. I'm what you might call a fujoshi. One day, my beloved, yes, he's an anime character, died, and the shock of it all was more than I could have ever prepared for. My grief over his passing resulted in some ridiculous weight loss, and you won't believe what happened next. Soon after my change, the four most divinely gorgeous boys in my school asked me out on dates. I accepted them all, and you'd think I'd be happy with my sudden popularity, but the truth is, my heart only yearns for a prince to be next to his prince. Ah yes, boys, I'd much prefer that you turn your affections elsewhere and kiss him, not me. And if you were paying attention to all of that, you may have noticed that one of the major plot points is dramatic weight loss. While I would certainly not tell anyone who doesn't want to read about that in particular that they have to or have to enjoy it, I do think that the way in which it is handled in this volume is kind of better than a lot of other recent weight-related plot points Thor I have seen or read, and wanted to talk about it. Well, it's only briefly at the very beginning that Serinuma is quote-unquote overweight. We still get the chance to see her interact with many of the same people she will become more involved with later in the volume. While there's the obvious change of how interested her attractive male classmates are in her, all of these people are still generally nice and conversational before she loses all of that weight. She is not a social pariah, either because of her weight or because she's otaku, or as I guess this book calls it more specifically fujoshi, which is a word that I have learned since reading this series, so that's quite exciting, which feels like a really important point to me. The other big point is just how accidental her weight loss is. Never before it happens does Serinuma wish she weighed less, and she's pretty confused after it happens, although obviously there is some interesting developments from it that are humor, played for laughs, but not necessarily at the expense of her fat self. But trying to look at this critically beyond its simply existing, and as another reviewer pointed out, actually losing this much weight would lead to health complications, so perhaps that should have been more addressed. I guess the major point of critique that I came to through trying to really dig into this perspective is that while no one else is shamed for being fat, in this first volume at least, there are no other people who are the size that Serinuma was before, or perhaps even larger, which is probably, as I mentioned, the weakest point, because, yeah, suddenly everyone is just straight-sized, I guess. And it would have been nice to have more fat representation. Looking at gender representation in this volume, since it's a male harem story of sorts, the high school boys represented do tend to fall into various tropes, although I think it's more good than bad because, as I say over and over, tropes used well give creators a pre-created list of knowns and let stories explore different things. In this case, flipping the idea of women wanting to be attractive to men on its head in yet another way. As far as female representation go, it's nice that unlike the fat representation that we already talked about, other women do exist in this story, and Serinuma does have other female friends, and she's not even in competition with them. Drawing-wise, Serinuma definitely has boobs, but I can't work up any sort of offense at this fact. I assume they jiggle in the anime. Which can be rather eye-roll inducing at times in general. But in this case, we have yet to hit any cleavage shots, so I have boobs, she has boobs. They aren't ridiculously unbelievable and don't place a female character in any sort of automatically subordinate space, like sometimes the crotch shots in Gail Simone's Batgirl series, which I will forever have a chip on my shoulder about do. As far as other sorts of representation goes, unsurprisingly, for better or worse, class and race are not really touched on in this volume. That's not unusual. I am very excited about the upswing in translated representation of female-identified nerds, kind of like Princess Jellyfish, or like, no matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular, which is another book I hope to review soon. Bye, y'all. Keep reading and resist fascism. And as always, I would like to acknowledge that, for the most part, all of my videos are filmed and produced on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, an Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation, land covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant.